Picture this. It's 6:47 in the morning. You shuffle out of bed, barely conscious, stumble down the hall, push open the bathroom door, and before you can even reach for the light switch, there it is. A warm, furry body squeezing through the gap. Your dog, sitting right there on the bath mat, tail doing that slow, sleepy wag, just watching you, like you're the most important thing that has ever happened in the history of the universe. You've probably laughed it off. Maybe you've even said out loud, "Seriously, can I have 5 minutes?" And your dog just tilts their head like, "What are you even talking about? This is my post." Most people think it's about separation anxiety, that it's a sign of an insecure dog, maybe one that's been through trauma, and that eventually you should train them out of it. But neuroscience tells a completely different story. And once you hear it, you're never going to look at that little face in the doorway the same way again. So let's start with the obvious answer, the one you've probably heard from your neighbor, your coworker, maybe even a well-meaning trainer, the separation anxiety theory. The idea is simple. Your dog is anxious, clingy, maybe even a little neurotic, and following you to the bathroom is just a symptom of that broken attachment. Fix the anxiety, and the bathroom stalking stops. Here's the problem with that. Separation anxiety is a real, documented condition, but it affects roughly 14 to 17% of dogs in the US, according to the American Veterinary Medical Association. 14 to 17%. But if you went and polled dog owners right now, the number who say their dog follows them to the bathroom, multiple surveys put it above 70%. That's a huge gap. You can't explain a 70% behavior with a 17% condition. The math just doesn't work. And here's the other thing. Dogs with genuine separation anxiety don't just follow you. They panic. They destroy furniture. They bark for hours. They hurt themselves trying to escape. That is fundamentally different from a dog who peacefully trots in, curls up on the rug, and takes a nap while you brush your teeth. So if it's not anxiety, what is it? But here's where it gets really interesting. In 2019, researchers at the University of Veterinary Medicine Vienna, led by ethologist Dr. Stephanie Riemer, published a study in the journal Applied Animal Behaviour Science examining what they called proximity-seeking behavior in domestic dogs across 87 owner-dog pairs. What they found blew up the whole anxiety narrative. The dogs most likely to follow their owners weren't the fearful ones. They were the securely attached ones, the confident, well-socialized dogs. Dogs who scored low on anxiety measures were actually more likely to maintain close physical proximity to their owners throughout the day, including during private moments like bathroom visits. Riemer's team proposed that what looks like neediness is actually a form of social monitoring. Your dog isn't scared you'll disappear. They're actively choosing to stay in your sensory field because to them, you are the social nucleus of their entire world. You are their pack, their person, their whole thing. Your dog isn't following you to the bathroom because something is wrong with them. They're following you because you are the most important relationship in their life. And here's the part nobody tells you. This behavior is literally written into their chemistry. When your dog is physically near you, their brain releases oxytocin. You already know oxytocin. It's the same bonding hormone that floods a new parent when they hold their baby for the first time. But the feedback loop in dogs is wild. A 2015 study published in Science by Takefumi Kikusui and his team at Azabu University in Japan found that when dogs and their owners make eye contact, both species experience a surge in oxytocin, up to 300% in some of the dogs measured. 300% just from looking at each other. Now, here's what that means in the context of the bathroom. Your dog doesn't know what a bathroom is. They don't know what privacy means. All they know is, my person is moving, and if I follow them, I get to be near them, and being near them makes my brain feel incredible. It is a neurochemical reward loop that has been shaped by thousands of years of coevolution. Your presence, literally, physically, is a drug to your dog, and they will follow that drug down the hallway, through the door, and onto a cold tile floor at 6 a.m. without a second thought. And that gets us to the deep history of this whole thing, because none of it is accidental. About 15,000 years ago, somewhere in East Asia or possibly the Middle East, wolves began a slow, radical transition into dogs. What drove it wasn't force. It wasn't domestication in the traditional sense. It was a mutual gravitational pull between two species who needed each other. The wolves who were less fearful of humans got access to food and shelter. Humans who kept wolves nearby got an early warning system, warmth, hunting partners. Here's the detail that gets me every time. Archaeologists excavating a 12,000-year-old burial site at Ein Mallaha in Israel found a human skeleton buried with their hand resting on a puppy, a person who had been dead for 12,000 years, hand on their dog. That's not utility. That's love. That's a relationship so profound it followed someone into their grave. The behavior your dog shows you every single morning, that quiet, insistent presence, is the living echo of that. This behavior was not random. It was selected for across millennia. Now, here's the paradox, and this one is genuinely kind of mind-bending. A 2021 study from the Canine Cognition Center at Yale University found that dogs showed less stress when their owners were out of sight, but still audible or recently present, compared to when their owners were present but emotionally disengaged. Let me say that again, because it's wild. A dog left alone in a room was calmer than a dog sitting next to an owner who was staring at their phone and ignoring them. Presence wasn't enough. The quality of the presence was what mattered. Dogs who followed their owners everywhere weren't seeking bodies in the room. They were seeking connection. And here's the part where it becomes deeply human. How many of us, if we're being real, have felt exactly that? Sitting in a full room and feeling completely alone? Your dog gets it. Your dog has been a student of your emotional state their entire life. And what they're telling you when they follow you to the bathroom is not, I need you. It's, I choose you. Every time, every room, every moment. Most owners have absolutely no idea that's what's happening. Okay, now I need to shift gears for a second, because this whole thing has a shadow side that's genuinely important. Sometimes following behavior changes, and when it does, you need to pay attention. If a dog who has never been Velcro suddenly starts following you everywhere, and I mean everywhere, refusing to leave your side, becoming agitated when they can't see you, that can be an early sign of cognitive dysfunction syndrome, which affects an estimated 68% of dogs between 15 and 16 years old, according to a 2011 study in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior. It can also signal pain. Dogs in chronic pain often seek proximity as a coping behavior. They can't tell you their hip hurts, but they can tell you they suddenly need to be near you more than they used to. The behavioral red flag to watch for is the following becomes frantic rather than calm. There's panting, pacing, whining at the door instead of just sitting by it. The vibe shifts from, I want to hang with you, to, I cannot function without visual confirmation you exist. That shift, especially in a dog over 10 years old, is worth a vet visit. Your dog is trying to communicate something, and that knowledge could genuinely change the outcome for them. Back to 6:47 in the morning, the bathroom, the bath mat, that slow, sleepy tail wag. Everything you just learned is happening in that moment. 12,000 years of co-evolution, a brain flooded with oxytocin, a being who is neurologically, biologically, historically wired to see you as the center of their world, not because they're dependent, not because they're broken, but because they are a product of the most extraordinary interspecies bond that has ever existed on this planet. They followed you in there because your presence is a chemical reward they have been chasing since before either of you were born. That dog on the bath mat isn't invading your space. They're telling you in the only language they have that you are their person, and they're not going anywhere. So I want to hear from you. Does your dog follow you to the bathroom? Drop it in the comments. Tell me if they sit politely or if they absolutely park themselves on your feet, because apparently both say something very different about their personality, and I want to know. If this kind of deep dive into animal psychology is your thing, subscribe. We do this every week, and there is always something that makes you look at your pet completely differently. And next week, we're going into why dogs tilt their head when you talk to them, because most people think they know the answer. They don't. The science behind it is even stranger than you'd expect.